All right, so welcome back to Intuition to Income 2025. This is Abby Gooch, your host, and I am so happy to be here with you, of course, every time. And we have a really special guest today. So I was just in Hawaii, man, back in October, and we were super actually close to Maui, where she's at, but we were actually at the Big Island for a while. And I just love the spirit of Hawaii. There is just such a sacred connection there. And I just remember putting my feet on the ground and just feeling grounded and like the energy of the old, clearing old stuff and opening a new purity of just water and light and love was just so beautiful. So I know that really, I was just telling her before we came on, I feel like the oceans of love are connecting us together. I was down at the beach and I felt her, and that's really how we're all connected is through this universal language of love. And so that's what I want to chat about first off is really connecting into our hearts, feeling the presence of love that's guiding us and moving through us in every moment of every day. And knowing that as we listen to that, we're going to be guided to our next step of fulfilling our purpose, making the money we want to make, increasing our income, and really helping each other. So, Kathy, welcome, so much love to you.
Thank you so much, Abby. It's a delight to be here.
Very cool. So can you tell the audience just a bit about like your background and how you got into this work?
Absolutely. Initially I was a ballerina. I was a professional ballerina. I worked hard for that. I had a vision for my life, and I got there. I achieved the roles I wanted to dance, and there was something missing. I thought I'd be happy by now, and instead I'm stressed and not sleeping well and this and that. And yoga really helped me. Like, yoga helped me relax into my body as not an object to perfect, but actually something to enjoy and feel good in and feel grounded and relaxed into. And that was kind of my first window into actually feeling like, wow, being in a body can feel really good instead of like, oh, trying to make it perfect, which a lot of us are doing even though we're not even in ballet, right? Um, and so I sort of at that point, that was a turning point where I'm like, I'm dancing the roles I want, but I'm not happy. So I stopped and I went to India. And I went and meditated and did silent meditation in India, and I was already a certified yoga teacher, but I just kept riding that train in that direction, and becoming more and more tapped into myself and what I truly wanted at that point, and also working with clients. I was in my early 20s still, and working with clients and seeing they're here for their back pain, but that's not the problem, right? That's the symptom of what's really going on. So I need more tools. So I learned tapping, when tapping was not a thing, right? I learned neurolinguistic programming and all these different things to try to zero in on what's really going on for this person. And along that journey, I was led to some people who were very intuitive and ended up going through some different programs in relation to that. But I think the real like connective gem is to take some space every day and be quiet. And whether that's through journaling or through having your eyes closed or whatever, right? Having space to clear the noise of the phone and the TV and the computer and all the podcasts and everything, and just like be with you. And that's to me, that's the starting point.
I love that being with you. It's just so beautiful. It's so simple, you know? It's like, yeah. I mean, I really feel that when you say clear the noise, that is really the first step, right? To connect with your intuition is to quiet the mind, bring it into the heart space, and then drop into your gut, right? So you actually can hear that higher voice, right? Like you can call it your higher self, the higher part of you that knows whatever you want to do. It's just that higher aspect of you really calling forth, your wisdom, right? The truth within you.
Absolutely. To that end, I often talk with clients and say, like, this guy is supposed to be the mind or the head, for those of you who are not watching but are just listening, is supposed to be the secretary, and the heart is the CEO. The problem is that the secretary has tried to take on too many jobs from the CEO. The mind has its role, but at this point in our society, in our culture, it's trying to do way too much. A
Yeah.
lot more of that can land in the heart and be so much easier.
Yeah, I love that. So I know the focus that I wanted to really go through today is just that our intuition already knows the truth, right? So the truth of your intuition knows. I'd love for you to expand on that because when you get really clear, that can be the guiding light in your business, in your life, all of it.
Yeah, yeah. I had an example from today that
Yeah.
I I was going to bring in. Oh, I was working with a client and she had been doing some yoga this morning and she thought to herself, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this posture. And then she did the posture anyway, and it's the one thing that tweaked her back, you
Mm,
know? And it's like looking back,
mm,
she already had that knowing,
yeah,
like, maybe this isn't the one for me.
yeah.
And sometimes, I mean, I think it's changing. Our world is changing where we're more parents, more mothers and fathers are guiding children to listen to themselves. That you're guiding kids to listen to themselves as well, which is amazing. Um, and the thing is, most of us, children of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, earlier than that, like weren't given the idea, listen to these little nudges. Listen to what's there beneath the shoulds and shouldn'ts and therefore, many of us hear that voice, oh, don't do this posture, or hear that person isn't to be trusted. But then we override it by thinking, it's my uncle. Of course I can trust him, right? Or whatever it is. And we already had that sense, whether it was hearing it or whether it was a gut feeling like something's off here. And these are really important messages to listen to without making it heavy. Just like, no, those little feelings are important to just dive in and explore because they have information for
Mhm.
you. Even if that information is, oh yeah, I trusted someone who looked like my uncle in the past and it didn't work out. This is really not about my uncle, right? They always have some nugget of information for us if we're willing to sit with it and
Mhm.
unpack it a little bit. And that takes attention.
Mhm.
And attention is our most valuable, it's currency. And people spend millions of billions, even of dollars, trying to get your attention because it's that valuable.
Yeah.
And so it's super valuable to turn it back in on you and allow it to be the inner GPS for your life. And your GPS never judges you, right? The GPS, even on the phone, like you turn left and it wants you to turn right, and it'll just say recalculating. It doesn't say, "Oh, you dumb," whatever. It's just like, okay, recalculating. Yeah.
Totally. That's a good point. I love that. I teach something called intuitive success coaching. It's just a process I created, and the basis is non-judgment and unconditional love. Because the moment you have judgment, it feels like it sends like an electrical like wire through it, right? It just messes up your connection because it's like it's not needing to be judged. You're not needing to be judged. The connection's still there. The mind stuff you can let go of, and just be in that place of unconditional love instead of judgment. It's just so key. It really is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I remember the two things I learned when I was really diving into intuition were, the stability. When you're learning to tap into your intuition, it's so important to get grounded, right? Because then you're present and available for whatever information shows up. And the non-judgment or the loving space, because you can allow things to come in, even that you don't like,
Yeah.
if you have that stability, right?
Right.
You won't be shaken by fear or whatnot. and the non-judgment. It's like, oh, okay. Right? Maybe this isn't the best person for me, even though I want them to be,
Right.
or whatever the case may be.
Right. Totally. So, how have you followed your intuition to greater income in your life?
Oh my gosh, I was thinking about that question earlier, and there are so many ways. I mean, one of the ways that I like to access my intuition is through writing, is through channeled writing, like asking my inner wisdom or checking in with the Akashic records, and I have saved so much money, first off, by checking in with that.
Yeah.
Uh, and also the little nudges in the direction of, I created this program called Radical Abundance, and um I said, okay, yes, I'm going to do that. And then I downloaded the manual in a period of a couple of hours. Really, it's like, okay, people need to learn about this, and people need to learn to ask these kinds of questions to help guide themselves, and people need to learn this. And so it was a process of my intellect, my judgmental mind stepping aside so that more wisdom can come through. And to me, I feel like the wisdom is always there. It's like a well, or it's like a river. It's always flowing. And the thing is, sometimes it's iced over, but it's still there. It's never gone. It's
Right.
still there. So as you warm up to your intuition, it unfreezes, you get unfrozen, and it's easier to lift up the fresh water for this fresh moment, because when we're not functioning from intuition, we're either functioning from other people's ideas, which are based on the past, or from our own past, right? That informed, our lives up to this point. Well, that's not fresh and available for something new. We don't want to keep creating our life based on the past if
Right.
we want to get to
Right.
get some other outcome.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I love that. Each
So I'm
new.
not sure I answered your question, Uh, but
Well,
I'll just,
I
yeah.
mean, maybe even just sharing like some stories of how you followed your intuition into greater income. Like, I want to learn more about the program because I know it's just so impactful for people. And like, what are some stories of you following your intuition that has just naturally created that greater income?
A lot of the time for me, it's about my intuition giving me the nudge, speak to this person.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually not the most outgoing person. I've built that muscle. But I mean, for much of my childhood, I would hold back, or I had this extreme fear of calling people on the phone. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I was so lucky my mom coached me through that fear. Like, she would practice with me and this and that. Like, I don't know what I thought would happen, but like it was a big fear. So a lot of times it's this little nudge of my intuition, go speak to this person, right? Um, Invite this person to another possibility. Sometimes, speaking about what you do is not the easiest thing, and I just trust whatever is going to fall out of my mouth on any particular day. So it's not a canned elevator speech. I just can't do it, right? It's this, okay, what does this person need to hear?
Yeah.
Essentially, it's all true, right? I'm not feeding them a lie, but what do they need to hear? And oftentimes that's what comes through to get them to engage and ultimately, purchase a program or work with me, because something in me connected with something in them by my need for them to do anything getting out of the way. Because if I'm not the right coach for someone, I don't want to be their coach,
Mhm.
right? It's
Right.
if
Right.
it's not a match, if it's a match, and there's something there for both of us,
Right.
then um, so it's really a process of any need of my own. stepping aside so that I can show up in my life for clients, for potential clients, for business partnerships to move in a way that's harmonious and ultimately evolve us both. And I have a client, we got together for my birthday actually in February, and she said to me, Kathy, people need to understand you're like Sherlock Holmes, right? They come to you with a problem and you do the detective work and it's so graceful and you just present it to them and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's right." And you unlock them and then they have a new possibility. Well, none of that can be done with the intellect. It is all done through okay, what tool is going to serve them the most? I've been doing this stuff for, more than 20 years, so there's quite a big toolbox, and it's just like, yeah, and each person is so unique and so different that what's what's the thing, and I don't intellectually think about this, but it's like what's and she even used this metaphor. You find the toy in the toy box that they're going to love and
Mhm.
be able to use.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the guiding force of intuition. And we all have it, right? I told you I was this worried little person. I was anorexic at one point because I was so like worried about the world and food was the only thing I felt I had control over. And what I want to emphasize is like I wasn't super in touch with my intuition. If I can do this, anybody can do this,
Mhm.
right? It's available if you have the desire. And I know like lots of people in the world don't have that desire, right? They're just gonna keep going the way they're going. But the people here,
Yeah.
if you're here, you have that desire and you can do it and you can let your inner GPS be the guiding force of your life. And the possibilities that are available to you are grander. They're bigger, they're more beautiful than you could ever think up. And I promise you that's the truth.
That's beautiful. Oh, I love that because I was just going to ask you, what do you think the benefit of following your intuition is? Like why would we all want to follow our intuition in the first place?
It
No?
got me to Hawaii.
Right? I know exactly. Well, in my experience, it brings love and light and joy and happiness and money and all that good stuff, right? But it's just like a question to ask, like, why are we emphasizing, why you would even want to follow your intuition, you know?
Yeah, yeah. The intuition is really connected to the truth of who you are.
Yeah.
Right? It's not about the messages you've received in the training you've had, as valuable as that might be,
Yeah.
right? And it's all a part of our path.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with it. The intuition is like the voice of your inner being, whether you receive it as a voice, something you hear, sometimes I hear, sometimes I feel, right? You can hear it as a feeling that moves you forward. You can have a knowing, you can see it. Like none of these ways is better than another way, but it's the voice of your essence calling you forward in a certain direction. I guess my question would be, why would we not want to know that? And sometimes that's because of fear. It's because of the unknown, right? Oh, that's so different. It doesn't make sense to my brain why I would do this. Um, but like the known keeps us where we are. I got divorced several years ago, and there was, my head kept saying, well, it's fine, like why? And my heart, my intuition kept saying, you need to do this. And ultimately, at one point, I said, well, I'm going to let this year be spirit led, like whatever comes out of, from the my knowing, I'm going to follow, even if it's scary, even if it doesn't make sense. And I made that cut, and my life became bigger as a result. And I then started to see why the relationship didn't make sense or didn't work. And how it never could, but only after the fact, only after following that intuitive, like not even nudge. By that point, it was like an intuitive 2x4. Like, come on now, right?
That's
Yeah,
hilarious. I love.
it's scary,
That.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally. I understand. Yeah, no, I totally understand. Huh. Yeah, I'm just processing what you're saying. It's funny, but it's true. It's really true.
You're like, how about this, right? And you're like, I'm not listening, not listening. Okay, how about that? Not listening. And then it's like, okay, I didn't want to throw the amethyst at you, but
You're so funny. I like that you said that it just couldn't ever work. Like sometimes nothing's wrong. It's just not meant to be because there's something greater, And so to really trust that, because again, it comes back to the non-judgment piece, right? Like it's never going to work. Okay. Like it just isn't, you know?
and we're more neutral, let's say about a shirt in our closet,
Yeah.
right? Rather than a relationship, that's a big thing. But a
Right.
shirt in our closet, it's like, yeah, it's just not quite, it's good,
Right.
but it's not, it doesn't really like light me up. It doesn't really expand my life. And in retrospect, I did know intuitively, like my image that I got was two plants growing in a pot. And one plant wouldn't let the other grow to the size that it needed to be, right? This one being me, the one that can't grow because the other one is in the pot with it. And
Mhm.
so I needed to let go of that relationship so my plant could blossom in the way
Oh,
that
sweet.
meant to blossom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. That's really sweet. And I know that you're going to talk more about abundance, but when you say that word, like to me, abundance is like love, right? It's happiness, it's fulfillment, it's money as part of that. And that's obviously what the show is about. But I'd love for you to speak to the energetics of that. You know what I'm saying? To move into those frequencies, because that's really everybody just wants to feel good at the end of the day, right? Even making money is like about feeling good. It's like the feeling of being a millionaire, not just having the money in the bank, right? Like it's just, you know,
My
truly.
analogy for that is if someone gave you $100 million, but you had to stay in a room under the stairs for the rest of your life, would you choose it? Right? We're not really in it for the money, are
Right,
we?
right.
Right? We're in it for the freedom and the possibility and the joy that we think
Yeah.
this thing is going to bring us. And it may or
Right.
may not. I've worked with a lot of billionaires, and it's like one day I was working with one of them, and I was like, it just hit me. I'm more free than this person.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And that's not what our society teaches us
Yeah.
at all. So, yeah, abundance. Clearly not only the money, as you said. Abundance is really personal. It's really personal because our unique, each of our essences is so unique. Um, well, I'm like, how far shall I like dive into this?
I
Um,
think whatever you want, whatever you
so,
want.
so one day I was sitting and doing a mirror exercise. I love mirror exercises. And it was sort of like reality popped. And I saw that each of us is one perspective of the one or of the whole.
Mhm.
I, and so, because of that, we are, each of us listening is, and each of us not listening is an a perspective of the infinite that's never been had before.
Mhm.
Never ever in the history of anything has
Right.
there ever been the journey that you are on, which is so unique and so beautiful. And so your version of abundance is going to be unique and beautiful too. And yes, most people want things because of the feeling that that will bring. And that can be love, that can be a feeling of freedom, openness, peace, stability, security. A lot of people want the money because they think, oh, when I have the money, I feel secure. Well, what happens then when the stock market rocks or whatever, right? It's like, yeah, that security is shaken too, because security is not from money. Security is from your connection to this truth within you.
Yeah.
And if you allow that to guide you, you always have what you need at any given moment. You may not have what you need 10 minutes from now, but 10 minutes from now, you'll have
Hmm.
what you need, if
Right.
that makes sense. And that's where fear comes from because we think, oh, I need to know or I need to have what I'm going to need 2 weeks from now or 2 years from now or whatever it is. And it's no, right now, you're safe, you're secure, you're okay. And in that moment, 2 weeks from now, you will be too.
Yeah.
And the more you can start to trust that, and often that comes back to trusting the intuition,
Yeah.
the the happier you will be able to be
Yeah.
in any moment, no matter what's going on around you, whether someone approves of you or disapproves of you, whether the economy is great or not great. It doesn't matter because you are connected to the truth of what you are, which is love. And you're not projecting fear into the world because when you project fear into the world, you're going to see a lot more things to fear.
I love that. So beautifully said. Just thank you for letting it just flow right through you because it's so on point. I love it. It's so beautiful. So how do people join like your program and working with more abundance? And I know you have some really cool ways they can even start to tap in. So if you want to share anything about that, that would be great.
Thank you, Abby. So one of the offerings I have for listeners here, and I'm so grateful you're here because s- it's it's amazing to receive different perspectives and see what lands for you. Abby has an amazing perspective, and you'll take some things from her, and then from Christy or whomever, and me, and so what I've put together is three of my most popular one-off money programs in a little bundle so that you can start to unwind some of your money beliefs and start to tap into the abundance that wants to come to you because this world, this universe, your body even is abundant. And the more you just relax into that,
Mm.
you relax to receive,
Yeah.
and it shows up.
Yeah.
But we've been programmed with mom or the news or whatever. Money doesn't grow on trees, and you have to work hard for it, which was my big one, right? In ballet, we had to work so hard, and so you have to work hard for it. And all of these different messages clouding the innate abundance that's already available to you. And all you have to do is sort of peel off those messages to really connect to what's true for you.
Mhm.
And so that bundle's available for you, and
Oh,
it's at clarityspace.org/abundance. That's a private page just available for you, and it's only $7. So,
I get
uh,
chills. We're going to put that in the description for everybody. So if you missed exactly the spelling of that, we'll make sure we have it under this video. I get chills. That's really powerful. Like, whoa, I'm like full body chills. Like there's some crazy cool activations. I can feel it. And so it's like for $7, man, just do it, you know? Seven is the number of spirit. Let it flow, man, because I feel like that will open you up to even more. And I just see this ripple of light going out, right? And then I know you have group offerings and private things where people can dive deeply, but like just really get the first little one step, you know, so you can feel it, you know, let it move you. Yeah, very.
yeah, thank you, Abby. And then I really feel inspired to offer a conversation. If you want to make this more personal and just dive into your own experience a little bit and get my perspective for 20 minutes, then you can on that same page, clarityspace.org/abundance. You can book a consult and we'll have a real conversation about what's going on for you.
So we were laughing before we started this. I was telling Kathy, I was like, girl, I had my thing closed down. I wasn't going to have any more speakers, but I got on the phone with you and I just fell in love because her heart is just so caring and just so loving. So I really invited her to give that to everybody because I feel like you'll really be moved by her presence and just what she has to share. So yeah, I'm glad.
You can thank Abby for that
Yeah.
one. I wasn't gonna do it. And then what's really fun, I have online group programs to take you on a journey of unpacking what's been in the way and moving you forward. And in June in Bimini, we're going as a small group to swim with the dolphins. And you're invited on a journey of only 8 people to swim with pods of wild dolphins in a unique experience in the Bahamas. And so that'll be on that same page. You can check it out. There is one spot left in one of the retreats. And then I opened another retreat because I was like, you know what? That one's fun. And I'm going to do one that's just women. So one's on the solstice, one's on the new moon. We're going to be doing special activations, and you'll have some of that dolphin love and bliss. Joe, who's the captain, said, there will be times when you might find yourself playing seaweed tag with a dolphin. So I'm excited about that. It's the
So
land of
cool.
Atlantis, and
Oh
yeah,
my God, I've swam with dolphins. They are just amazing, amazing creatures. Just ascended masters. Just, oh my God, so beautiful.
yeah. If you want to open up to a sense of bliss, that is life changing, and
Yeah.
there's nothing like it. Yeah.
That's Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share with the audience? Any other just like gifts of the spirit that comes through you as to what people might need to hear to get more in touch with their intuition, to trust themselves? Anything else that comes through?
Yeah, one practice that I really like is to imagine you have like a flashlight beam that runs through your body vertically, kind of like a tree trunk,
Yeah.
right? And I actually call this tree breathing
Mm.
because energetically you're connected to the ground beneath you. And you are connected magnetically to the earth and in many other ways. And if you'll inhale, imagining you're drawing energy up from roots, like at least 2 feet under the ground, into your heart.
Mm.
So you're drawing energy up. And then as you exhale, it goes up through the crown of your head and out your branches. And as you inhale, receiving energy down through your branches from the cosmos back into your heart. And you exhale out to the roots.
Mm.
And as you inhale next from the roots to the heart, exhale up to the branches. And you can do this in your own timing. I might be going too fast or too slow. Inhale through the branches to the heart. And exhale down through your body, down through the tailbone into the roots in the earth. And as you do this, it starts to connect you more with the heartwood or the core of who you are rather than all the external messages. It's also very grounding. It's also an invitation to connect to the cosmos, or you could say, connect to your higher self. And I have mothers, clients who are mothers who do this in the afternoon when their kids are all over the place, like to ground and center and reconnect. I have, other clients who will do this at work after, okay, right before the meeting or right after to decompress. And it's like, okay, I received a lot of information. Let me connect with me, myself, and the earth and the cosmos.
Mhm.
And it's just such a simple practice. But if you're willing to weave that into your day, a few breaths or even 10 minutes, there's going to be a change.
Mhm.
And that changes you being more connected to you. And I think sometimes we're afraid of what we're going to find when we're more connected to us. And without a doubt, I know that's what's there is beautiful, and your essence is something remarkable beyond like what you could imagine. The
Mhm.
more you get in touch of it with it, the more it will reveal its beauty to you.
I love that. So beautiful. Oh, thank you. So the last question I have for you is how have you seen as you followed your intuition to greater income that you have served more people just naturally?
I think, Abby, it's about to bring it back to that non-judgment that you mentioned in the beginning, right? Because a lot of us, whether it's from family programming or genetic programming or past life programming, whatever kind of stuff, like we limit ourselves based on judgment, right? Based on, oh, it's not safe to step out there and be seen, or, oh, I shouldn't tell this person that. I shouldn't give them that message, right? Like sometimes I've given clients tough love. I'm like, you know what? I don't really want to say this to you, but this is the only thing that's coming through to tell you. And they're like, I think I remember one client saying, Kathy, that thing you told me that you didn't want to say is what I took with me the entire week, and it totally changed my behavior, from that point going forward, because it's like, I'm not going to do that anymore, right? And so when we're listening to our intuition, we stop censoring ourselves as much. We stop saying, oh, that video's not quite right. I can't put it on social media. We say, you know what? It's imperfect, but I'm getting the sense it needs to be posted. And
Mhm.
that reaches more people,
Right.
you know, because I'm certainly not perfect. There are lots of times in a video, I'll say something that's not quite right, or I look goofy, and it's like, that's also relatable because everyone is goofy.
Right.
Some, everyone, they all have an instance in which they didn't say quite the right thing. And so we get beyond this hang up about, needing to be perfect. And I had a lot of that because of ballet. They were like, your head's not quite right. Okay, lift your chin, right? But I had to like perfect and get all, and letting intuition guide. It's okay that it's not perfect if you feel like, yeah, it's okay. It needs to get out there anyway. Yeah, I'm nervous about releasing this program into the world. I remember when I did my first free summit, it was sort of like, oh God, what if no one shows up? Right? And then I got this little intuitive nudge like, you're doing it for you, Kathy. And I did it, right? I did it, and 256 people showed up or something like that. But it was really about listening to what's really true, and the truth was I was doing it for me. I was doing it for the world too. But really, like, it's not about the numbers. I think we get hung up sometimes in metrics, and I don't have the most humongous list, but I have people who see and receive and know the value of what I share, and their lives are tremendously different from that because they've, dived into the tools,
Mhm.
and moved forward. So to me, following your intuition is about showing up even when it's imperfect, even when it doesn't make sense. Sometimes when it doesn't make sense, that's when the most beautiful art is created. The most beautiful connections are made.
Yeah.
And,
100%.
and yeah, so I would say that that's a long answer to
Yeah.
your beautiful question.
Yeah, it is beautiful. It's amazing. I was just talking, it was like a little networking group that we have in the community. And I was like, oh, I really don't want to go, but I showed up anyways. And I turn and like he's like the publisher of the entire newspaper. He's like, hey, do you want to be in the newspaper and write an article? And it's like, sure, glad I showed up. So it's just kind of like if you do show up, you're always going to be rewarded. So just show up, be in your light, see where your intuition is guiding you, and just take that next step and really just watch the miracles happen because I love what you said. You'll always always be provided, you'll always be supported. And yeah, you're being held by this universe of love, and oceans of love are connecting us together. So, so beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank
Thank
you everybody for being here today. Enjoy wherever you are in the world this beautiful day, and we look forward to connecting with you soon. Lots of love. Bye.
you. Thank you, Abby.
You're welcome.